Still there, I thought Billy and Toby weren't going to be appearing in this episode of the Doris Day Show. They did eventually turn up, very briefly, but the majority of this episode is actually set away from Doris Martin's house. Love Thy Neighbour is the 20th episode of the first season of the Doris Day Show, directed by Harry Falk. And Doris realises that their tractor is basically broken, and she discovers that Buck doesn't necessarily have that much disposable income. So she decides that it's finally time for him to go and collect money that he is owed from various people, because like a lot of people, he lends money out, but he's not too comfortable with asking for that money back. And there are various IOUs, and Doris says, we'll split this up, you go to these people and get the money you're owed, I'll go to these people. And Doris goes to the Tugwells, and in particular, Zeno Tugwell, played by J. Pat O'Malley, owes Buck money for some horses. And he hasn't got the money. So Doris says, well, if you can't give me the money, I'm going to have to take the horses back. And Zeno Tugwell is not hearing this. And he decides to take drastic measures with the help of his son Stonewall, played by Reed Morgan, that prevents Doris from leaving their house. I won't say any more than that, but they definitely took drastic measures. Because she couldn't exactly walk back home, she was basically kidnapped because she was stuck there. Although why she didn't just go and get the horses and ride the horses back, I'm not too sure. Having said that, I'm not that knowledgeable about horses. I did horse ride briefly as a child. Maybe there's a reason why she couldn't do that. But she's stuck there and she has to try and convince them to basically let her go home. And she's obviously very strong and independent, but at the same time, she's basically at their mercy because they are in charge of her now, and it's very unclear how she's going to get out of this situation. Stonewall, at his father's command, is trying to woo Doris, which is very entertaining to watch. And I thought it was pretty entertaining. It's not my favourite episode. I prefer the ones that are set at Doris's house. I feel they're homely and warm and inviting. I prefer the ones where the children are a bit more heavily involved, because I think Todd, Starke and Philip Brown are absolutely brilliant as Toby and Billy. But it's still not a bad episode. I did enjoy it. I wasn't sure how it would resolve itself, or if they'd ever get the tractor fixed. I think, in particular, it might be the first time I've seen Doris Day drive. There's a scene where Doris Martin is driving to the Tugwell's house, and it's a really great shot of the Jeep driving in, and then, I don't know, it's irrelevant, but I love Doris Day, and it just occurred to me that maybe I'd never seen her drive before. I enjoyed it. Definitely not my favourite episode, but Love Thy Neighbour is still a really enjoyable episode of the Doris Day Show.